Well, we've seen over the last few days, few weeks in fact, the various ministers detailing how they're planning to spend taxpayers' money and how they're planning to put it to best use. Today in Parliament, the budget vote speech for the Water and Sanitation Department presented by Minister Lindiwe Sisulu. The minister's portfolio includes these two key aspects of service delivery as well as human settlements. And she presented the human settlements budget vote plan last week to Parliament. Let's take a closer look now at how taxpayers' money will be spent to address some of these pressing service delivery issues. Minister, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. You know, even in your budget speech, you said, look, I can't go through everything. There's just so much. But you've honed in on a couple of really important aspects. And I want to start with Mfuleni, the Vaal River system, which you highlighted in your speech, because I think in many ways it is a prime example of what is going wrong in many municipalities in terms of water management, showcasing incompetence, corruption, vandalism, non-payment, neglect. It's interesting that, you know, I've known that the municipality has been under administration, but you said today that national government has actually taken over with Rand Water as the implementing agent. What does that mean exactly? Is it a permanent arrangement? And how soon are the residents of that area going to see change?
Okay, in terms of the National Water Act, the Minister of Water has Section 63, has the right to take over any utility and bring it under her direct authority. So in this case, even though we were going to do it, the Human Rights Commission had gone ahead and determined that we should resort to the National Water Act, Section 63, and take over the running of the municipality. By virtue of the fact that it had failed to run its affairs and had brought the whole of the Vaal under the kind of conditions that we see on a daily basis on television. So we're taking a memo to Cabinet next week to inform Cabinet that this is the outcome of the investigation by the Human Rights Commission. We concur with it, and therefore we're taking over the running of the water section of Mfuleni. And we've appointed Rand Water to take over and make sure that we can bring that matter under the supervision of Rand Water. The resources we will have to set aside and make sure that that function is fully under, you know, both national resources and national management.
Is this in conjunction with the administrator, or is this a separate process?
This is in This is in conjunction with the takeover. Over a period of time, we have realized that Mfuleni was unable to manage its responsibility. It's a water authority. Now, when a municipality is a water authority, it means that it has responsibility over the provision of water, and that is given to them as some kind of accreditation. And this particular municipality is a water authority, and it had been responsible also for the wastewater treatment around Mfuleni. But over time, it had not been able to cope. You will remember that from the beginning, when Minister of Finance got into the post, the first thing he did was to send the Defence Force to go and clean up the Vaal River.
Yes, and then it was vandalised. I mean, I think the difficulty is that the people of this area are just so fed up because they see interventions that either don't work or are then promptly undone by vandals. You've actually said in your speech today that you want to crack down on those vandals, anyone who vandalises water infrastructure, and you also want to crack down on those who don't pay. How are you going to get that right? Because that requires the strong arm of the law.
It does. Well, you know, there is a law that allows us to declare certain sensitive areas national key points. In the past, when we were struggling and the government of the day was the apartheid government, all dams were national key points by virtue of the fact that if you if you put any substance in there, it affects everybody. So we're wanting to reassess our natural natural resources and make sure that water is taken back to that level of security that it had. Because it is often vandalized. And when it is vandalized, we don't know what else to expect out of that. So it's a risk that no country should ever take. The fact that we have not declared all of them key points up to now is possibly just an oversight, or we've got to a point where it has become quite clear that we're dealing with a real big crisis. Mfuleni is just but one of the areas that we're dealing with, and it has come undone because the council itself is not able to run its own affairs. It's under administration, not only from ourselves, but also from COCTA. So you can imagine the level of it is just generally falling apart to the level where both COCTA and ourselves have had to step in and take over our responsibility.
And as you said today, you've put in so much focused attention on this particular municipality. I want to also move now to what's happening in the Eastern Cape in particular around the drought, which has been a long time now. We're seeing problems around Graaff-Reinet, around Makhanda. Extreme concern about the low levels in the dams around Nelson Mandela Bay. First of all, I want to ask, do you support the calls that are being made for the Eastern Cape to be declared a disaster area due to the drought?
Well, you know, there are areas that are susceptible to drought. Eastern Cape is one of them. The other one is the Northern Cape, which is where I was yesterday. We had a very fruitful meeting there, and I'll come back to that. I don't know if the entire Eastern Cape would qualify to be called a drought, a disaster area, but there's certain portions there that could be brought under emergency regulation, and they can declare drought. That the Premier has the authority and the power to declare a drought in the Eastern Cape, should he be satisfied that there is a drought situation. When there is a drought situation, it has been declared a drought, it allows us to intervene in those areas where we would not naturally be intervening because there would be water authorities there.
Right.
But in Graaff-Reinet and in Makhanda and in all of those areas, those are very dry areas. We are a very dry country, and you can see it in the Eastern Cape. And we need to understand and live with that condition.
And of course, it's all exacerbated if infrastructure is allowed to fall apart, if vandals step in. I was very encouraged to read today that a number of dam projects are now actually getting back on track, particularly around Nelson Mandela Bay, the Zimwi water project. That was a plan to build 3 dams. It was shelved. It was meant to start 7 years ago. I understand it's been gazetted. It's getting underway. How soon are we going to see the first dam built in that area? Because with critical water shortages there in particular, how quickly can that first dam of the 3 be built, do you think?
Do you think we could say projects of dams as opposed to dam projects?
Perhaps you're right. The projects of building dams, Minister.
Because they're already damning the poor project even before we get started. You know, in the area of Zimwi, this is something that I discovered when we were trying to put together the necessary protocols to declare this a presidential project. The president has already declared it as a project that he has put out there as a presidential project. He mentioned it in his State of the Nation address. Our job is to make sure that we follow through.
Yeah.
The first thing that we came across is the problems of the people in the areas that have been identified or not identified as
So Minister, I'm so sorry to interrupt you because I actually have no time and I have to ask you at least 1 or 2 more questions. Very quickly, when will the first dam likely be completed in Zimwi?
I actually at the moment would not be able to hazard a guess. But I do know that we have got, we've done specifications and we had concentrated on 2 dams, but it looks like it will go on to 3 dams because of the issues around the ownership of the areas there.
All right.
So it has its own problems, and we're trying to deal with them. But we have started on phase 1, which is widening up the road so that we can bring in the bulk earthworks to begin to start digging. So we have started in one of the areas where the dam is going to be.
I have to ask you, and I know it's a thorn in your side, but it's something that's caused a lot of unhappiness, and this is the Cuban water engineers. So the consulting engineers of South Africa are very unhappy about this. You said today in your budget vote, these are not jobs. These are mentorships for rural areas. But surely, Minister, South African engineers could have been hired as mentors. The reality is there's 64 million rand being spent on this. Is this a political decision at the expense of South African jobs?
You know, Sally, unfortunately, the matter is now before the courts.
Yes, and you're challenging that. Solidarity is saying that basically you're using taxpayers' money to challenge their fight for the right to give South Africans jobs. So it's not great. It doesn't make you look good.
No. The agreement between Cuba and ourselves is between the president of Cuba and the president of South Africa.
So it's political.
It is a bilateral agreement between the two countries, signed off by the presidents of the two countries. That is why we have Cubans assisting us in the human settlements environment, assisting us in the health environment, assisting us in the water sector. I think Solidarity is just wanting to up its what?
Look, the reality is, no, you know, you can point at them, but the reality is, Minister, a lot of people are unhappy about this because of our job shortage. You know, the engineers are saying they've got 400 CVs on their website of people, engineers, qualified engineers who want work.
I have met black engineers, and that is not their view. That is the view of Solidarity. We have had, sewer flowing through so many of our residential areas. None of them have come to me to say, how can I help you? But I can tell you one thing. The engineers in the Vaal River came to me to say, Minister, we're here. If you want us to help you, we are available. I was so glad. I didn't know that Solidarity was cooking up a whole lot of people out there. Black engineers came to me and said, Minister, we're here. We want to help you. We know that you've got a problem. We know you're new in the environment, and we're here to help you. The Cuban thing has absolutely nothing to do with jobs. We're not giving Cubans jobs. This is a bilateral agreement that has been working since, 15, 20 years ago. Why Solidarity would only wake up now, I don't know. These are people who are responsible for mentoring our engineers, especially young engineers, in the rural areas.
All right.
The head of the Engineering Association in South Africa, in an interview in 702, was saying, you know, engineers go where there is a job. Our engineers are free to go wherever they want to go. They have the qualification, they can go there. They could have come to me. Right now, I don't have any of those 120-something. And if they were so concerned, I would have had them the day I walked in here. They would have come to me in the same way as the people in the community in the Vaal River have come to me to say, Minister, we're here, we're concerned, and we want to help.
Minister, one very quick question on the Vaal. Let's go back to where we started. How soon will the people of that area be able to look forward to not having sewage running through their streets? Or have you given a deadline on that particular project to clear up? How soon?
Yeah. Well, there isn't any running now. When we went there, and I would like to invite you the next time I go there, we have completed one project over there that has taken up the bulk of the sewer that has been spilling out into the streets. So there is no sewer spilling out, but the entire Vaal system itself is under pressure because it takes in sewer from 4 provinces that spills over onto the Vaal River. The topography where the Vaal system lies is flat, and it does not allow for the kind of sludge that comes in there. So we need to upgrade that. We should have upgraded that a long time ago. But we are gradually upgrading it. So sewer is not flowing out there, but we are continuously making sure we can upgrade to absorb all the kind of sludge that we get out of there. brought over by the fact that we are urbanizing at an unprecedented level. I don't think that the Vaal River system was intended to take in so much.
All right. Minister, thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry we didn't even get to discuss housing, but you've given us a really good idea of the priorities around water, which of course is such a key issue, and I really do appreciate your time this evening. Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation Minister Lindiwe Sisulu.